If I asked you to name the rarest, most elusive cat in the world, you might guess, a tiger subspecies or maybe a snow leopard.
Sure, those are the famous ones.
But today, we're climbing 15,000 feet into the desolate heart of the Andes to track a creature that just actively defies being seen, the Andean cat.
It is the ultimate ghost animal. I mean, the sources we've compiled for you confirm there are fewer than 2,000 of them left.
2,000, that's it?
That's it. And this isn't just about being rare, it's about a total commitment to invisibility. So for this deep dive, we're looking at an animal so secretive that many biologists, people who've dedicated their lives to it, have never seen one alive.
That fact alone is just mind-boggling. So our mission today is to try and uncover the secrets of this creature.
Right. We'll explore what makes it a hyper-specialist, its critical relationship with its prey.
And the incredible tech, forensic-level tech, that's finally letting us piece together its life story before it's, too late.
We're going to trace the evolutionary path that led to this extreme specialization, and then, analyze why that very successful strategy is now its single greatest vulnerability.
It's a textbook case of niche dominance, leading directly to existential risk.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's unpack this phantom of the peaks. When we talk about the Andean cat, I think a lot of people hear leopard in the scientific name and assume it's related to the African leopard.
Yeah, that's a common misconception. The name is a total misnomer, really. It's a colonial thing based on a vague resemblance of the coat.
So what is it related to, though?
It's a New World small cat. It's in the genus Leopardus. Its closest relatives are actually cats like the pampas cat, the ocelot, and the margay.
Okay, so picture an animal that's just a bit larger than a big domestic cat. But every single part of it seems engineered for extreme cold and altitude.
Oh, absolutely. The sources all emphasize that fur coat. It's ridiculously thick. It's not just insulation. It's like a thermal blanket against temperatures that regularly drop way below freezing.
And we have to talk about the tail.
We absolutely have to talk about the tail.
It's enormous compared to its body. Long, incredibly thick, and it has these rings on it, almost like a raccoon.
Exactly like a raccoon's tail, which is completely unique among South American cats. And it's not just for show.
Right. It's a toolkit, isn't it?
A crucial one. For two big reasons. First, balance. You have to remember, this cat lives on these steep, treacherous, rocky outcrops.
So the tail is like a rudder.
It's a weighted rudder, yeah. It stops it from taking a deadly fall. And second, those unique, thick rings, they're basically the cat's fingerprint.
A fingerprint?
How so?
Researchers use the specific pattern of those rings to identify individual cats they capture on camera traps.
So a stabilizer and a signature. And where does it use this perfect camouflage? We're talking about a landscape that is just brutally beautiful.
Brutally is the right word. We're in the high Andes, stretching from southern Peru across Bolivia all the way down into Argentina.
And always high up, right? Above the tree line.
Always.
Yeah.
Generally over 3,600 meters. This is a cold, dry, alpine desert. It's all just rock and sky. It makes total sense why they call it the invisible cat. It moves at night. And its coat, this silvery gray with dark spots, it just melts into the lichen-covered rocks.
It's a true master of stealth.
The hyper-specialization of this cat is where the story gets really fascinating, but also really tragic. It seems like it deliberately chose the worst possible real estate to live in.
It really did. I mean, the conditions are extreme. You've got low oxygen, almost no standing water, very few prey animals, and winter temperatures down to minus 15 Celsius.
So why? Why choose that? Why not move down into the valleys where there's more food, maybe a stream, some cover?
Because the cat's entire evolutionary strategy wasn't about finding an easy life. It was about avoiding competition.
Ah, so getting away from other predators.
Exactly. The high-altitude desert is just too tough for a big generalist like a puma. A puma can hunt up there, but it can't sustain itself efficiently. The Andean cat thrives there.
So by sticking to the steepest, most rugged peaks, and avoiding areas with lots of plants or water that might attract rivals, it carved out its own perfect, protected little niche.
A brilliant strategy for millennia.
But if it worked for so long, why is it failing now? Is the habitat really changing that fast?
It is, and because they're so specialized, they're incredibly sensitive to it. A generalist cat could maybe switch its prey or hunting style. The Andean cat can't.
Its whole body is built for that one environment.
Its metabolism, its dense blood, its physical build, everything requires those specific conditions. So yeah, that's the brutal downside of specialization.
This extreme dependence means any destruction to its habitat is essentially permanent.
Exactly. We're talking about these rocky areas. They're called rocarios. If that rock face gets destroyed by, say, a mine, the cat has nowhere else to go. Its home is irreplaceable.
And you can't be a hyper-specialist hunter without hyper-specialized prey. Which brings us to this other amazing creature, the viscacha.
Ah, the viscacha. I love these things. They are often described as looking permanently perplexed or disappointed.
They do. They look like long-eared rabbits with a perpetually sad face.
Uh-huh.
But they are crucial. And their biology tells us so much about the cat.
Right. So you know the general rule for mammals in extreme cold, right?
They evolved to be spherical, like orbs, basically, to minimize surface area and keep heat in.
And yet the viscacha is famous for its huge, prominent ears. It completely flies in the face of that rule.
It seems like a huge contradiction. Why would you sacrifice all that heat for big ears?
Because there's a trade-off happening. The risk of losing heat from your ears is apparently less deadly than being surprised by the mountain ninja cat stalking you.
Wow, so those big ears are listening for the cat.
They're essential auditory tools. They have to hear the faintest sound of the Andean cat moving silently across the rocks. It's predator avoidance over heat efficiency.
That paints such a vivid picture of the cat's stealth. And the viscachas, they live in colonies, don't they? They have alarm calls.
They do. High-pitched calls to warn the entire group the second a shadow moves. This dependency is so profound that researchers often use viscata density as a proxy for the cat's presence.
No way. So if you find a big, thriving viscacha colony,
You can assume there's probably an Andean cat nearby that it's supporting. The analogy we read was that the viscacha is to the Andean cat what the snowshoe hare is to the Canada lynx. Their destinies are completely tied together.
for most of its history, since it was first described in the 1860s, our knowledge of this cat was just fragments. Old pelts, stories from local people, maybe some old scat.
Right. We couldn't really map its life. And that gap in knowledge is exactly why researchers have had to get so creative. If the animal refuses to be seen, you have to bring your eyes to the field.
And that means technology. Let's start with trap cams. They become these tireless field researchers that never sleep.
Yeah, we read about Bernardo Segura, a biologist with the Alianza Gato Andino. He spent 8 years in the field, 8 years, and has still never seen one with his own eyes.
That is dedication, but his cameras have seen them.
Oh, they've given us so much intimate data. He calls them eyes in the field working 24/7, but it's a huge effort. I mean, you're hauling heavy gear up to 16,000 feet, trying to keep batteries from freezing.
And the effort paid off. His work near Santiago revealed these stunning details about their social structure.
It really did. It gave us the first real look into their family life. The cameras followed a mother and her kitten for 2 years straight.
2 years.
Yeah, and it showed this incredibly strong bond. The mother shares her food with the kitten for over a year, which is a much longer dependency than you see in a lot of other small cats.
And the footage actually captured them being affectionate, right?
It did, touching, reinforcing that connection. That whole intimate story only became visible because of these stationary, unblinking cameras.
The other revolutionary tool is genetic analysis, specifically from their droppings, scat DNA.
Yes, and this is where Constanza Napolitano and her team come in. Her job is to analyze these tiny, dried-up pellets of feces collected by people across 4 different countries.
So what's the process there? How do you turn a scat sample into population data?
It's basically forensic science. First, the sample is heated and shaken really aggressively. That's to break open the cell walls to release the DNA. Then they use special chemicals to extract and concentrate that DNA, which is usually really sparse and degraded in scat.
And once you have it concentrated,
It goes to sequencing, and the sequenced DNA is then compared against a database of other carnivores. A positive hit not only confirms the cat's presence, but it can tell you which cat it is.
so you can track individual movements and measure genetic diversity from a single dropping.
Exactly. And the data often paints a dire picture. It confirms population collapse and habitat loss in real time.
Devastating, but necessary.
Absolutely necessary for conservation. It gives them accurate, unassailable data.
So if the data is showing this dire picture, what are the biggest threats driving it towards extinction right now? We know hyperspecialization is the vulnerability, but what's the direct cause?
The sources point to 3 big crises happening at once. The first is genetic fragmentation, driven by that patchy habitat.
So the different little populations can't connect and breed.
Exactly, and the consequence of that is very low genetic diversity. The largest known group has only about 250 individuals. This makes the whole species vulnerable to disease, reduces fertility. They just don't have the genetic flexibility to adapt.
The second, and maybe the most catastrophic threat, is mining.
This is a devastating conflict. The very same geology that creates the rocky habitat the cat needs also happens to be rich in valuable minerals. So mining operations are often set up in the exact places where the cat lives.
And unlike a puma, which can just move down to the valley if its home is disturbed, the Andean cat has nowhere else to go.
It's a permanent eradication of its only life support system. They are cornered ecologically. Then you layer on climate change, which is warming the mountains and pushing them even higher.
Compressing their habitat even further.
Right. And then finally, just increased human activity, agriculture, grazing. It's all depleting the scarce resources, impacting the viscachas, and therefore impacting the cats.
So the entire conservation effort, led by the Alianza Gato Andino, has to be fought on all these fronts.
It does. The data from researchers like Bernardo and Constanza provides the scientific roadmap, but the critical long-term strategy is all about education.
Getting the local communities to protect the cat.
Exactly. The sources are very clear on this. Conservation only works when the people living alongside the animal are invested. Getting them, especially the kids, to fall in love with the cat, to see it as part of their own heritage, is the most effective protection they have.
People fight for what they value.
They really do.
This deep dive has taken us on quite a journey, from this invisible shadow on the highest peaks to a highly specialized creature whose life story is being mapped out, through its DNA and hidden cameras.
I think the overriding insight here is that paradox of extreme specialization. It allowed the Andean cat to master this hostile environment, but that very success has made it totally incapable of adjusting to rapid human-driven change. The stricter the rules are for a species to survive, the faster the consequences hit when those rules change.
The knowledge we have is a triumph of technology, but it's also a pretty sobering reminder of how little we still know. The sources mentioned a man, Jorge Abarca, one of the very few people to ever just run into an Andean cat by sheer luck.
Yeah, that chance encounter, that one moment of direct connection, it stands in such stark contrast to the thousands of hours of camera time and complex lab work required to just prove the cat even exists in an area.
It raises a final question for you to think about. How many other wonders, maybe even specialized creatures we don't even know exist, are silently being lost right now? All because their existence relies on technology we haven't deployed yet, or just sheer chance to be revealed. And we haven't been lucky enough to stumble across them.
Something to mull over until our next deep dive.
Until then, stay curious.